Oh, what the
Where's
hell's that?
what?
Don't know, I just pressed on something and it did something weird. It's gone now.
Okay. Hello and welcome to How I Vegan podcast. I'm Matthew.
And I'm Wes.
We're here to talk all things vegan.
If you've been vegan for years, if you're a recent convert or you're just V-curious, we'll have something for you.
We'll be reviewing some of our vegan experiences, talking about vegan events and speaking to vegans from all walks of life to find out the answers to the key questions.
What's your vegan story?
What was the hardest thing for you at the time?
What did your friends and family think about it?
Where do you get your protein?
How have things changed for you?
What advice would you give to anyone who's thinking about going vegan?
Who is your vegan inspiration?
What's the best thing about being vegan?
What's your favourite vegan product at the moment? We'll be covering all aspects of veganism, not just plant-based food. So if you're interested in what materials to wear instead of wool or leather,
or what beauty products to use, we'll be speaking to people in the know who can guide us all through.
We're not here to preach and we'll never tell you you're not vegan enough.
We're all going through our own stuff and it's difficult, so this podcast aims to be supportive rather than looking down on people.
We're not perfect vegans, not by a long stretch, so we'll be learning things about ourselves along the way too.
You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, WordPress and YouTube. Just search for How I Vegan Podcast.
You can send an email or a voice note to us at howiveganpodcast@gmail.com.
Okay, here we are, episode 3. Welcome to How I Vegan Podcast. I'm Matthew.
And I'm Wes.
And today we have a very special guest, a fellow vegan runner who has been vegan for a very long time, who has given me loads and loads of guidance and advice on running especially and how not to get injured all the time. So big warm welcome to Paul.
Hello,
Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. Lovely to be
Good. Excellent. You have the dubious honour of being our first guest that only one of us knows before the podcast. So you need to make friends with Wes while we're going on. So we'll see how that goes. So Paul, we'll start.
We're all in the same boat.
We are.
That's it, exactly. Yes, we are, and we're doing it by Zoom. But it's not even like we can sit in the same room and have a chat. Is it in the same way? But never mind. So let's start off. First question: what's your vegan story?
We're going back. It's my 30th anniversary this year.
Wow.
In the summer. So yeah.
That's our age, Wes, isn't it?
I know, yeah. It's how long I've been growing my beard.
So
yeah, I'm a bit follically challenged. You lot, I just had a shave and all. 2 seconds. You know. Yeah, I started eating vegetarian at the end of my final year in Polytechnic. One of my mates started. I don't know why, but he started eating pulses and all this sort of thing. And at the time, I was heavily into weight training, but I was doing a lot of weight training. I wasn't particularly big, but I was, banging in a lot of protein. So it was a lot of milk, cheese, all that kind of thing, fish, chicken, and all that. And then he started doing that, and my sister had been vegan whilst I was at school, and she's a year below me, so I knew about it, but I'd always ignored it. Really, wasn't bothered about it. Thought it was a bit of a joke. And then when I just started eating, I think it's just the fact of eating something different. So my mate was going, oh, let's try this now in the student house. All right, yeah, that's all right. So eating a bit more of it, and then. So that was in my final year. So it would have been actually from about the January, we changed house to the students and we sort of did that then. So I'd say by the end of that year, I'd got to vegetarian. so just cutting out the meat, the beef, cutting out the chicken, cutting out the fish, you know, and it was just in stages. And yeah, so at the end of the year, I was vegetarian. I'd gone home. My mother cooked me something. I said, no, all right, that's cut out now. This is cut out now, and all this. And then, so I was like that for about 2 years into my first job. And I shared a house with a guy who worked for, I don't know if it still exists, MAF, Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Fisheries. Mm-hmm. And he was like a business advisor for farms and things. We were sat watching, I don't know if it was Panorama or something or other on TV one night. And it showed chickens and egg laying and all this. And the chickens were going down a conveyor to sort in male and female, and then the male chicks were off to their death. And I just turned to him and I said, is that true then? Is that what happens over here? And he said, yeah, of course it is, didn't you know? And I'd always thought, like, I'll have free range eggs or this kind of thing, and it'd be all nice and cozy, and it's not a problem, you know? And as soon as he said that, I went, that's it then. That's it. And I think dairy came along with that anyway, but I just said, that's it, I'm going vegan. So I ate what I had in the fridge, which was probably about a pound of cheese and about 2 dozen eggs or something.
That's a big omelette.
After that, so it was a stack of it, you know, because I was weight training, I was eating loads of eggs, loads of cheese, loads of whey protein powder. And so I gave that all up, and then I'd say it, and I wasn't very heavy or anything, but in the space of a week, I reckon I lost half a stone. And that was probably not because of the lack of calories, I think, but more the fact that it was just a complete diet change, you know, because it was nowhere near as much fat or protein. Well, protein I still took, but nowhere near the calories. I was sort of quite happy like that, and I never really questioned it. It was all a case of, you know, these days I see people who they talk about, oh, I'm sort of vegan, I'm nearly vegan, I'm 90% vegan, I'm this, I'm that. And for me, it was a case of, right, I'm vegan and that's it.
Yeah.
And I just looked for, like, it was, now it's plant proteins and all this. So I just searched for, instead of whey protein for my weight trainer, I was searching for other things. I was eating a lot more beans and pulses and the like. I trying to remember back, actually, because with all the recent stuff, when I'm having kids now, it's all the vegan food in the supermarket. It's all on top of what I used to eat, you know. So I used to eat a lot more pulses, a lot more lentils, chickpeas, and all that all the time. And again, there wasn't those products, but even soya milk. I think I had to go to a health food store. Holland and Barrett was okay, but you know, you had a lot more independent health food stores, so you'd struggle to get soya milk in the supermarket, and that kind of. Since then, it's just really just sort of surviving for 30 years until the revolution that came about 3 years ago, you know.
Yeah. When Johnny come latelys like us two came along and rode on your coattails, basically.
Jumped on the bandwagon.
Yeah. And in the first episode, we talked about what I foolishly referred to as ancient vegans, but the people like you and Wes's wife who were vegan like 20, 30 years ago, who basically paved the way for the rest of us, because back then that must have been so difficult, because just getting hold of the information on nutrition must have been like, how did you work that out?
Well, I was thinking about that, going the vegan society. I mean, my sister was vegan, so I knew a bit about it, but then by that point we weren't living anywhere near each other. I can't remember where I think she was in Cardiff and I was up in Staffordshire. So there wasn't any, and before mobile phones and, you know, before Zoom or WhatsApp or anything like that. So I used to subscribe, and I still do subscribe, to the Vegan Society, and they were the ones that come out with recipes in their monthly magazine. And it was all people sending letters in, and that was the main contact I had with anybody else vegan.
Wow.
You know.
Wow, and that was it.
That is incredible.
Yeah, well, I had one for about 6 months. I went out with one girl who was vegan, but that was when I was vegetarian. So those were the only vegans I knew personally for quite a long time.
Wow.
And since then, over that period, up until this vegan revolution we had a few years ago, I knew a girl who was a vegetarian, one of Kath's friends who used to work with her probably 25 years ago. And her husband was vegan, but she only met him about, I don't know, 10 years after I transitioned, you know? So yeah, it was quite a lonely place, really. We used to, you know, going out for a meal. Nowadays, it's not a problem, is it? But then,
No.
Kath obviously wasn't vegetarian or anything. And, you know, if we
So
went to a pub, she used to get...
Sorry, Paul. Cass, your wife now, but when did you meet her then? You were already vegan when you met
her. Well, as I say, that was the funny thing, because, well, funny for me, I met her probably a month or two after I went vegan.
Oh.
So she was a bit miffed, because she said, you know, I would meet somebody now, and you just turned vegan just before you met me.
Just to be awkward.
That's how I had to try and work it out, because I had to work it out I knew what age she was when we met, and then I extrapolated and worked it out how long I've been vegan, because I've never really. Everybody seems to have their vegan anniversary of when I turned vegan and all this. I haven't got a clue what date I turned vegan. You know, It wasn't. You know, it wasn't something like that. It was just right now. All right, I'm changing now because I've seen that. And again, you know, I still haven't watched any of these Netflix documentaries, Cowspiracy and all this stuff, you know. I haven't watched any of those because I'm converted. I was converted a long time ago.
Yeah, that's right.
They're not. I don't think they're aimed at you, are they?
No.
Really?
No,
They're for
not.
the people they're for the people like me and Wes who watched them and then went vegan. They're for the non-vegans. That's who they're for.
I mean, a few years ago, Kath bought some books on it all. I can't remember them all now, but it was quite a sort of a wide-ranging unboxing. One was just a story about, it was a fictional story about meat, where it was actually in the future where humans were eating humans, and you know, it was a post-apocalyptic place, and all the cows that they were describing, you figured out at the end of the book, were actually people with a selectively bred and imprisoned to feed the other humans.
Fantastic.
And then other things about animal liberation and all this. But she'd read all those, and I'd read one or two of them. But again, I just didn't have the effort. I couldn't be bothered to read them, because I didn't know where my mind was at, you know.
Yeah,
that's it. You've already made the decision, haven't you? So
yeah. Well, that's where it's maybe slightly off topic, but that's why I don't quite understand people who, as you say, 90%, oh, I'm this and I'm plant-based, but I'm vegan. You're either vegan or you're not, you know?
Yeah.
If you're doing this 90%,
no, you can be, you can be 90% plant-based. I get that. You can't be 90% vegan. You're either vegan or you're not.
No, because it's not.
That's
you're not doing it for the animals. You're doing it for your diet, or you're doing it for this, or you're doing it for that. If you're doing it for the animals, then you do the maximum you can do, which I suppose is the diet, and then you look at everything else, don't you? You know?
Yeah. So you've got kids as well. So, but they were. Oh, I'm going to get this right. Were they brought up vegetarian? Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, they were brought up vegetarian. I mean, the oldest is 20. Then it's 20, 18, and 15. And I wanted to bring them up vegan, and Kath was against that. So we decided, you know, compromise on vegetarian. And to be honest, most of the we've never had dairy milk in the house. It's always been plant milk. They've had cheese, but I cook. I do all the cooking, so it's all been vegan. Apart from, you know, if they used to do hot dog sausages, which were vegetarian or something like that, you know, egg or something like that. So it was that sort of thing over the years. As they've got older, the two younger ones have started eating meat, but it's not a huge part of their diet. So although all's not lost, you know. The oldest one's staunchly vegetarian. Whether he'll go vegan, whether he'll go vegan or not, I don't know. But he's on the plant milks, and he doesn't like cheese. So I think the only thing
That's
he
a good
eats is eggs
start.
or anything
Yeah.
anything that's not in a in a product rather than
Sure.
something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So earlier on, Paul, you said that it was obviously quite a lonely place.
Yeah.
Way back then. Was there anything else that was hard at the time, or even now, whenever? Is there anything that's been difficult?
Well, I think I mentioned, we going to pub, we couldn't get, so we'd go to 5 pubs and not get a meal. And I used to work away at site as well. In my first job, I was sort of, I was a software engineer, but we used to commission things I worked at British Steel, at a chemical company, at distributions like Southwest Electricity and stuff like that. So I'd go to site to commission the software. And obviously you've got to eat when you're down there, number of times I lived on in works canteens, chips and baked beans, weeks on end. That was my lunch. Or if I went out to a pub, I literally sat down and had a green salad, which was literally just lettuce, tomato and cucumber, and that was it. That's what they gave me for lunch.
Wow.
So nothing. Everybody used to moan about it's always the 3-bean chili or the 5-bean chili and all this. I love that. I'd have eaten that every day.
Yeah.
So there's that. Yeah, I think I was listening to your podcast earlier and about people ordering for you and things like that. I used to drive me up the wall, but my mates were doing it because it seemed to me not to call me out on it, but I'd be wanting an order and they'd be talking to the waiter saying, "Oh, he's vegan. What can he have? Can he have this? Can he have that?" And I number of times, because it's at the end of the night, you've had a few beers, and I'd just be screaming blue murder at them. The whole place would just shut down because I'd effed and blinded and saying, "I can order my own effing food."
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating, isn't it? Did you say you'd listened to the podcast, one of the episodes?
Yeah, I listened to that one.
Oh, another listener.
Get
You
in.
might be up to double figures.
2.
So
Roman numerals, is that?
Yeah. No, we're on 5 this time last week, so we might be up to 6. So that's good.
what was it? Two of them were you, and one of them was
2
my
were
son.
me, and the other 2 were you. One was your son, and one was your wife, wasn't it? I think. Oh dear. What did your friends and family think at the time? Obviously you said your sister was already vegan, so I guess that's not so much of a shock for
it wasn't a problem
parents.
at home. My mother was fine with it. My dad was fine with it as well, although they were divorced. So it was a different household again with him. My brother was a caterer in the Navy, and he was fine with it as well. And he used to say about how they used to have a lot of, not vegans, but vegetarians that he used to cook for on board ship. So he was pretty okay with it as well. So the family were fine. I think my nan did the old, do you want a wafer thin piece of ham in a sandwich once? And we were me and my sister were looking at her thinking, "Are you real?" And she, it was. And then I've not had any problems with my friends. My friends have all been fine with it as well. I've got 2 friends who went vegetarian from uni with me, or polytechnic with me, and then my friends from school, all my sixth form sort of mates and everything, they were fine. No, not a problem at all.
That's really good, especially back then, because it was so sort of unusual back then, wasn't it? So that's a real that's really good.
Yeah, we'd go out and there'd be friends of friends. You go out and you have a night out or something. There'd always be somebody in the group who wasn't one of my close friends who'd start going, "Oh, if you're on the desert island," and
oh god.
Can you imagine?
but they did. They did. I don't know if anybody still does it. Anybody's got the nerve to do it. But yeah, it happened.
Oh, it's mad, isn't it?
I've never been asked that directly. If you were stranded on a desert island with a pig, what would you do? I'd die.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. What's the answer now is have a more intelligent conversation than I'm having. Now.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I'm going to use that one.
Well, they say, don't they,
That's
that a pig is as intelligent as a small toddler. So I might just try and teach it things.
Yeah. But without the tantrums.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
So the greatest question of all, which feeds into this we just said about, where do you get your protein from?
Well.
After all these years.
Yeah, I was always into the weight training, and it's only 5 years ago, or coming up to my 50th birthday, so 6 years ago, I suppose. I started running, and to be honest, I don't think you really need protein for running. So and reading a lot. I mean, I'm on some bodybuilding forums as the vegan bodybuilders as well as the vegan runners. And a lot of those now, and for a good few years, have been sort of proposing, I've started making smoothies with some peanut butter in or something like that, and it's all about getting your protein from your whole foods and all this kind of thing. I do if I'm doing my weight training, I do twice a week. I do take a protein shake then, but that's more, I have it before I work out, and it's more to sort of settle my stomach before I start working out, because I haven't eaten in a long while, because I won't eat before training really. So that sort of settles me down.
So do you do a lot of weight training now then? I say it's twice a week, but is it still quite intense? Or
yeah, I mean, I it's 2 hours a week, and it's more focused now on it's more focused for my running.
Yeah.
So I try to build up the leg strength. So I actually do 2-day split where I do full body both days, but one day I focus more on the legs and less on the upper body, and core every time. So I'm always doing sit-ups and all that kind of business.
Right.
And then on the second day, then I up the weights for the upper body and do focus more on a bit more time on that then. But it's more to keep, as I say, to keep the engine running. It's pointless having like a Ferrari engine in a Morris Minor,
Or is it?
Running and
how fantastic would that be?
That would be great. I'd love
but
to
it was
see
shaking. It would
That's true.
It would blow apart, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You just have the chassis going along, and the rest of it would all be.
Yeah.
So you mentioned vegan runners there, Paul, and that's how we met through. I did parkrun a couple of times, and after I'd become vegan, I started following some people on Instagram, and I saw someone wearing the vest one week, and I was like, "Oh, I could do that." And then not regularly.
Not at Kettering.
Yeah, but I'd only maybe done 5, if that. Yeah, I'd only done it a few times.
Me up there, then?
I don't think I had. No, I'd never
too fast for you.
Noticed the vest. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. I couldn't keep up with you before I went vegan. That was it.
That's it, isn't it? Yeah.
It's the plant. I was missing out on the plant power. But when I joined Vegan Runners, which is very good value at what, £9 a year, something like that.
It was 6 last
for
year.
The basic. Oh, £6, isn't it? Yeah, £6 a year,
yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
And I joined up and then got invited to join the local Facebook group, which you're one of the admins of. And
I set that up. That's my fame. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
It's such a brilliant thing, and I was saying this to Wes a couple of episodes ago about how brilliant Vegan Runners is, because it's just a way of meeting like-minded people. And
yeah, I love it.
The number of people that we've met, even last Saturday when we went off to Cambridge, because our mate Jim, it was his 100th park run, so he wanted to go to Cambridge, so off we went and met a load of new people that I'd never met before.
Brilliant.
Just what was there, 9 of us in the end? 9 or 10?
Yeah, there was
something
9
like
of us
that.
ran, but Gary was there, and I think
Oh yes, Gary
Carrie's
was taking
daughter
the
was there as
photos.
well.
Yes,
So there
that's
was
right. Yeah,
11
so
of
it was
us
11
there.
of us, and we had cakes and just a general chit chat. It was awesome. It's such a great community. Wherever you go, you'll find a vegan runner.
Absolutely, that's very good.
At Parkrun. So, Paul, how did things change for you, or how have things changed for you?
From being like the only vegan in the, I would say village,
In the
I'd say
village.
in my circle or whatever, a wider circle, it's gone to being, I think it's about 5 years ago or something. I'd say it's more than 3 years. I'd say that. I started seeing people with the Kettering vegans. I went to a few of their meetings, and there was a vegan fair and things like this. So yeah, from being quite isolated, and then suddenly like they're everybody, aren't they? Sorry,
You're one of the trailblazers.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I've been to there were vegan fairs. I went down to London to one of the big ones in Olympia, and even I'd say, when was it? 25 or maybe more years ago, literally the year or two after I went vegan, I was living in Cheltenham, and there was a guy, I think it's Peter Cox. It was Peter Cox, and he wrote a book, Why You Don't Need to Eat Meat, and he did a chat down there, and I went to that. So there were people around back then, but as I say, it was very few and far between, and I went to, Kath was working on the Gloucestershire Echo, and she was covering the in Cheltenham they've got the National Hunt Ball in the county hall or whatever it is there, and so there was all the hunt sabs had gone there, and I had some hunt sabs had got in touch in there. Unfortunately, I didn't really join up with them because they were always going during the day while I was working. So I went to this protest outside there. So I was there with them all chanting and screaming and everything, and all these people coming out of their Range Rovers in their tuxedos and going, and all this kind of thing. And Catherine's as a reporter, and we'd all screaming blue murder at them.
You were on the outside and she was on the inside.
Yeah, well, no, she was actually on our side of the street because we were all cordoned off, like the other side of the road from all the people going into the ball. But I actually decided then that I didn't really fit in with that kind of thing. I shouted a bit and screamed a bit, but I thought, this isn't really me.
Yeah.
Whilst I don't like them, I'm not really going to. I'm not going to get hugely angry and everything. I dislike it. I detest them, but it's not for me to shout and scream and call them all sorts.
Yeah. Did you ever go out with the Sabs? Did you ever go out?
No, I didn't. I went out with Sabs once with my brother was down at Plymouth Uni in Exeter. He was in Exeter and he was into photography, and he contacted the local Sabs to go and follow them one day to take photographs with them. And that just happened to be I visited. So this was probably about when I was because he went back as a mature student, so I must have been over 30 then. So I've been vegan a long time. So we went out, and I was just we'd met up, and there were all the people going around on their little trikes or quad bikes or whatever, and trying to buzz the Sabs and all this. And I hadn't even said I was a Sab. I was just standing there, and some person on a horse in a jacket rammed his horse into me from behind.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's the sort of people they are, really.
Yeah.
And then that's why I repost on Facebook now. I repost a lot of the Sab stuff with them being sort of abused by the all the hunters, and they get a kicking from them, and the police do nothing. So we could say the kind of the word that they are, but that would get us an explicit marker on Spotify. So. It's funny how it rhymes with hunt, isn't it? Yes.
But you mentioned as well, you met up with Kettering vegans as well.
Yeah, so up until then, as I was saying, it was mainly me and the Vegan Society monthly magazine up until 5 years ago. Yeah, so I went to a few meetings then, and there was they had a vegan fair up in the community centre up at Eyes Lodge. So I went there and I met a few of them, and then started going along to a few of their meetings. I kind of dropped out of it because there was a lot of activism with it, and again, and a lot of vigil stuff. And I don't really get vigils. I don't. The animals aren't getting much out of it, you know. They say it's for them, the animals, and to show their care, but it's more to really, I think, it's to get in the faces of the people who are using them. So, you know.
Yeah.
There's been one going on near us for quite a while now, hasn't there? In Huntingdon, there's a beagle farm
Beagles,
where they breed beagles for testing, don't they? And that's been going on for a while, and then it spilled over to a company up the road in Thrapston who basically do the transporting.
Oh, right.
And they're being protested against now for being the transport company.
Yeah, I would. The thing is, I wouldn't trust myself if somebody pushed me. I wouldn't trust myself to turn around and clock them on.
It would be really difficult, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one reason why I stay away from it as well. Yeah. So I've probably got a low threshold on that.
You rugby players, you're all the same.
So, what advice would you give to someone like us, one of the newfangled vegans? What advice would you give to them if they came to you and said, "Paul, what do I do?"
Well, where do I start? I mean, number one, you've got to get it. You've got to be convinced in your mind what you're doing and why you're doing it. As I said, I think I touched on it before. You're vegan for the animals. You're not vegan for climate change. You're not vegan for health. That's not vegan. That's plant-based or whatever, you know. So if you want to be vegan, you've got to be convinced in your mind that you're doing it because you don't like animal suffering and animal abuse.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that is it. That's it in a nutshell. And you do everything you can then to avoid any products that involve that. You know, and that's it. You know, you. I mean, there used to be like the plant. Was it the vegan shop? Yeah, the vegan shopper that you used to take to your supermarket, and you'd look at all your products that were vegan and all that. I think that's fallen by the wayside with the internet coming on. I don't know if they've got the vegetarian society or the vegan society, whether they have a list of things now anyway. But that was their money earner for them, was to provide a catalogue of what foods were vegan. And I probably had about 10 versions of that over the years. Now I suppose it's a lot easier with all the products in the supermarket and the internet and telling you, well, there's this product, that product, and social media saying, oh, this, you see people going, oh, I bought this today, bought that today. So it's all there. The only problem is you then go down the junk food route, don't you? You know, and I've fallen into that with the kids and Kath. They prefer that sort of food. I prefer beans and pulses. You know. So,
yeah.
But,
we've mentioned before how easy it is to get into that when everyone's working at school and stuff like that, and it's a very easy habit to get into.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's your vegan inspiration?
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and I wouldn't say I have one as such, because there was I was in so much of a void or whatever, as I say, with being the only vegan around, that, and not hearing anything. I mean, in the last few years and since joining Vegan Runners, I know of Fiona Oakes, who's a lot of inspiration to a lot of people, a lot of the other runners, but that's only something recent for me. When I was thinking about it, I thought, what was my inspiration, or my vegan inspiration, is not a who, it's a what. And it was the organization, which I said a couple of times now, was the Vegan Society. Because they were the ones, they were my reference, they were my information. And again, you get letters in, they get articles, there was a lot of it, because it's about education. It's not a campaigning really. It's not like Viva or Peter or anything like that. It's about educating people, and that was the constant. So I think I've dropped out of it for 1 year or something. I can't remember. I think I moved, changed address and didn't change it and didn't renew it. But other than that, I've pretty much been in the vegan society for, I don't know, 29 of my 30 years vegan. So,
Brilliant.
yeah. So, and I see something that it was the McPlant came out, didn't it? Like, came out last October, November, and it went big time in January everywhere. And that it was on Twitter or something, and they were going vegan, certified by the Vegetarian Society. And I said on it, I said, why isn't it certified by the Vegan Society? And everyone was going, it's certified vegan. It's certified vegan by the Vegetarian Society, who are still eating eggs and milk and dairy.
It's a good show.
It's not certified. I said it's a shame but then it's the McPlant. It's not the McVegan. So obviously they're whilst it's suitable for vegans, they're not marketing to vegans, are they? So
that's a good show.
Yeah, so I think that I was quite protective of the vegan society there. I was thinking, they've gone and stabbed them in the back, even though they have no relationship with them in the first place. But that was my thinking. So I've done that a few times now. I've seen a few things where my friend worked for the Vegetarian Society, and she told me that a lot of the people are vegan working there, so you can't really knock it. But for me, if you're going to be certified vegan, it's got to be certified by the Vegan Society, because it's a lot smaller society than vegetarian, and that's what brings in the money. Is a certification.
Yes, that's very true. Yeah. And maybe, I'm just guessing, maybe it's the fact that McDonald's, obviously that's their one plant-based product. There's a lot of cow killing going on.
Yeah,
in all the other products, and chicken killing.
Oh yeah. I mean, they said they're aiming to get 50% of their menu. That's not actually 50% of their sales. It's 50% of the choice, I suppose, on their menu is going to be vegan or plant-based.
All right. So is that including like water and Diet Coke and
and fruit sticks?
Fruit sticks that no one ever has.
So it's still a good thing, though, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's better to have it than not have it.
Yeah.
And also, like for your lad, for example, if he's going out with his mates and they're going to McDonald's, there's at least something that he can eat.
Yeah. Well, they both my older lads have both had it before I had it, and as I say, one of them is eating meat. Although I think he still had other burgers and KFC or something instead. But they both had the plant burger before me.
Yeah, if it sows a seed in someone's head, I think it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'd say you've covered most of this already, but what would you say is the best thing about being vegan?
It's the halo above my head.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's shining bright. That is amazing. Might as well just stop the podcast now, because that's just fantastic.
Oh man,
that's my wife keeps telling me. Yeah, I'm holier than everybody else.
It's like a big, massive mic drop.
Oh man, that is brilliant. Let's give me a coffee and fit now as well. Oh.
That'll do.
Yeah. You can't. There's nowhere we can go that's better than that. Okay, so. Oh dear.
You've
had that plan the whole time, haven't you? You've been waiting for that question.
I haven't actually, but it says what my wife always says to me. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh man, pay my day.
Oh dear. So, yeah. Okay. So, what's your favorite vegan product at the moment?
No, this one I have to have a think about. It is not a product, it's chickpeas. I absolutely love chickpeas.
Oh,
and
wow.
I have them in a curry. I have them in a salad. And you get the best product, I suppose, out there, which is hummus.
Yes.
So-
Oh, yes, of course.
So you got garlic in your hummus. You got red pepper hummus. You've got caramelized onion hummus or whatever. You know, you got all that different hummus. What more do you want? You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The chickpea is very versatile, isn't it? And it's so good
Yeah.
for you as well.
Yeah.
And I haven't even tried aquafaba yet. So you know.
Have you had have you done the you can make chocolate mousse, can't you, from the juice of the can?
I've heard about it, but I haven't tried it. No.
Yeah, my missus did it. My missus did it about 6 months after I turned. I turned. It's weird.
Into a vampire.
Yeah, and it's lovely. I was amazed.
Yeah,
it's really
yeah,
good.
yeah,
From
yeah.
the juice of chickpeas, it's like that's crazy. But yeah,
So
Yeah.
she made you chocolate mousse about 3.5 years ago,
yeah.
and all the times we've been up there since, she's never made it for us.
No, but all the
Right,
times you've
fine.
also all the times you've been up, you haven't tried my curries or chilies either. So you know.
No, that's true. True. So chickpea, I wasn't expecting that, to be honest with you, Paul. But
No, it's a very good
no,
call.
I do like that.
I was
Yeah, that's a
thinking
great show.
I was thinking of all the other products, and I thought I've never really stick with one of anything, you know. But those I always look forward to those.
Fair play as well. I mean, yeah, like you say, they're really versatile, aren't they? Can bang them in. Do you have them straight out of the can at all? I've always wondered that, what they're like just.
No, I'll literally just pour the can on top of my salad. You know, if I've got
Okay. Yeah,
lettuce, tomato, onion, whatever other bits and bobs I put in there.
yeah.
I'll pour the can on there, and maybe I'll put a bit of, well, I always put a bit of chili on it. Well, I've got about 4 different chili sauces in the house. There's one other that goes on there, and then whatever, you know. But yeah, I just love them. Love them.
I thought that was the last question. Can you believe?
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
We've made it to the end. So thank you so much, Paul, for joining us. That's been fantastic. Really, really insightful.
Yeah, it's been educational.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and us young vegans have learned a lot. It's like we're the apprentice and you're the master.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
You're like Obi-Wan.
Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it and found something useful.
You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, WordPress, and YouTube. Just search for How I Vegan Podcast.
And you can send an email or a voice note to us at howiveganpodcast@gmail.com. Oh, there's got to be a pun there somewhere. There's got to be.
Oh, come on, let's have a quick think. Yeah. Oh, God. I'll probably wake up at about 2:00 in the morning and think,
Yeah.
I should have said.
I edit it on. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good shout. I'll put it on at the end.
Well, thank you very much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you. It's been good.
I've loved it. I've quite a bit of trepidation, to be honest, about it all, because work meetings with me talking in work meetings used to be quite boring.